The Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. With your hosts, Joe Bond.
You're awful.
And AJ Applegarth.
It's Sin Shu Chu. It's a mouthful.
All right. Welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me, as usual, Mr. AJ Applegarth. How's it going on, man?
Not too much. Another day, another beers to be drank, some football to talk about. So, it's a good day.
We're good. All right, so tonight we're going to be talking some NFC South. So talking about all that Tom Brady nonsense. Whatever it is that they just did in the last couple of days. Holy cow. So, all right. But before we do all that, let me remind you guys to hit that subscribe button, those follow, the likes, whatever it is. Leave those comments. We appreciate it. And we thank you for that. And then, I can't go any further without reminding everybody, guys, we have Fantasy Six-Pack memberships now. Our rankings are behind them. We're going to put more stuff behind them. We have a draft cheat sheet behind it, along with the projections that help the cheat sheet. We also have, we're also going to be, we have our Discord channel. So you're going to have direct access to me, to AJ, to some of the other analysts on the site as well. Davis Pang and I are going to actually be doing an AMA this weekend. I'm doing mine on Friday, so you'll be able to ask your questions ahead of time, and then I'll answer them Friday night. Davis is going to do it on Saturday for best ball. Mine's redraft, so get in on that. And then if you use promo code F, the number 6P early, you get 25% off. It's only going to be for the first 100 people who use that code, and then it's no longer available. So take advantage of that. I'm looking forward to talking to all you on Discord. I really, really, really want to see that going and get that rocking. So, all right. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the week, and it is Samantha Previte. Hey, what's going on?
What's up, guys? Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on. You have been on the show before, so we are happy to have you back here. It's always a good time talking to you. We're doing NFC South, and I kind of laughed when you did it. You were like, you kind of like delayed on picking your division, and then like a couple of them went, and you were like, fine, I'll take the South and talk about my crappy Panthers.
Look, you have to understand that, first of all, I did not grow up a football fan. And when I got into football, I was living in South Carolina, and it happened to just like all the stars aligned. I was getting into fantasy. I had Cam Newton on my team. It happened to be the year that he became the MVP and everything like that. And it was just such an exciting time to be a Panthers fan. And no, that's not some fair weather thing, because I have stuck with him now since then. So, but you have to understand that I went from that was the peak. I peaked too early, and now it's just been all downhill from there. So
I am a born into, now the Commanders. I no longer root for them because I can't stand Snyder, but I mean, talking about peaking too early, I haven't seen him do anything since I was 10. And, 1992, let's be real, that's the last time anything good happened to them. They might have won a division here and there, but Mr. Scampers thinks the Panthers are winning the division, so there you go.
I love the optimism. Gotta love that kind of stuff.
All right, so
Cats gotta stick together.
All right, well, before we jump into things here, let's do our favorite segment, Beer of the Week.
Beer.
All right, Samantha, what do you have for us tonight?
So I'm super lame. I am currently staying at my parents' house in Providence, Rhode Island. And I woke up at 3 a.m. So I am drinking a Spindrift's seltzer, also known as a non-alcoholic White Claw. So sadly, no beer for me tonight. There's no beer in this house. But I'm drinking, in spirit.
Next time.
Excellent.
All right, AJ, what about you, man?
All right. I am drinking one of the new brews that I picked up on Sunday after the birthday party for my daughter. We went to a brewery down in Baltimore called Nepenthe, I guess, or Nepenthe Brewing Co. This is the Alpacas Fracas.
All right.
So
I saw
it's,
you check in a few. I'm guessing you
it's
got
crazy alpacas.
Whoa.
You
I
either
like
drink
that
your first pint
that graphic.
super fast after that birthday party, which I
No,
wouldn't blame you,
it was a flight.
Yeah, or you got a flight. But I was like, I mean, after the kid's birthday party, I wouldn't blame you.
Oh yeah,
It's gonna go
I
down
mean,
fast
it
after the first one.
it was a fun day, and there was definitely a need for drinks. But no, I was checking in, and you weren't the only person that was like, damn, dude, pretty hitting it pretty hard, aren't you? I was like, no, 4 ounces. Calm down.
All right. So I am drinking I had never heard of this brewery before, but I found it and was like, yeah, whatever, I'll give it a shot. It's called 10 Eyck, EYCK Brewing Company. The IPA that hopped the world. It's double. It's got Mosaic, Galaxy, Eldorado. I mean, pretty typical IPA at this point. 8.5. You know, I only gave it a 3.5 on Untapped. I've had a couple of these already. Not tonight, but
I'm already 3 in the bag.
No, it's your fairly average IPA. It's nothing special, but could be a lot worse. I've had a lot worse. So, cheers.
Cheers.
3 of those, and I would be struggling at 8%.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You don't go hard with that percentage there.
No.
So, all right, let's jump into the division preview here, and how we do things is we'll go position by position. We'll run through some ADP numbers. We'll ask, kind of team specific questions, player specific questions that are interesting. But first, we like to lead with just a general football question, not really fantasy related at all. And AJ, you got the floor.
All right. So I was trying to think of something not Tom Brady related, but it was kind of hard. So with TB12 unretiring to return for his 852nd season, it's hard to see that any other team actually will win this division in 2022. Aside from what Mr. Scampers is proclaiming. But if you had to pick a team, which of these other 3 in the division poses any kind of a threat to the Tampa Bay Bucks?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the easy answer is going to be the Saints. They have a much more established organization. I think they're just they have a better coaching staff. Obviously, Sean Payton's gone, and a lot of the pieces are different. But I do believe that Jameis Winston is probably a better quarterback at this point than Baker Mayfield. I don't know if that's a super hot take, but yeah, I mean, I think that they have a lot of good pieces. I'm super excited about Chris Olave, and overall, I just think that that's probably the best team. Vegas agrees. They've got plus 310 odds to win the division. So I would probably go with the Saints. But yeah, I think if I went with the Panthers, people would probably just call me a homer at this point. But it's so lame, right? Like TB12 ends up in this soft division that just gets softer, right? Like Matt Ryan's gone, Drew Brees is gone. Like there's no one to put up a fight. So
Yeah.
it's kind of lame just watching the same people win all the time.
I mean,
but
come on,
whatever.
he was in that lame division, the AFC East, for however
Fair
long.
enough.
I mean, now granted, they got to the Super Bowl, so they had to get through the real teams too. But yeah, I mean,
if you get to play the Jets multiple times a year, it's not that fair. But yeah, I mean, think about how many wins they're gonna get just from playing their own division.
Yeah,
so yeah, it's
probably 5 over under. I mean, let's be real.
probably I take that over there.
Yeah, I agree. This is Tampa's division to lose. Although they're trying, they're having a bunch of injuries already in camp.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But they got all the receivers back and then some. So that's okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We'll get
Can they
into
just
that.
share the wealth a little bit? And people are like, oh my God, you got Baker. And I'm like, is that supposed to be
Are you
am I
making
supposed to feel good at
fun
that?
of
About
this,
that?
or
It's really funny because my boyfriend is an insufferable Cleveland Browns fan, and he doesn't want to root for the Browns this year for reasons that related to Deshaun Watson. He's like, "Oh, I'm just so jealous you got Baker Mayfield." And I'm like, "Cool." I don't know. I kind of was thinking that they were going to tank this season, so I don't know. I think they're in this a little bit of a like identity crisis.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Definitely.
interesting to see what they do.
We will dip into that throughout the show. So let's go ahead and we'll start with the quarterbacks here. Obviously, Tom Brady is QB10. Again, this is going off the Fantasy Pros ADP overall rankings by sleeper. So Tom Brady is coming in at QB10. We got Winston at QB21. We've got Mariota at QB30. Baker at 32, Desmond Ritter at 33, Matt Corral at 36, and good old Sam Darnold at 38. Take it away, Joe.
All right, so we're gonna start with super exciting Atlanta.
Yay.
Yeah, we gotta give every team at least the one spot once. Like I mean, probably should have saved it for tight end. Actually, I think I did do it for tight end because there's only 3 teams there. Anyway, so Mariota, kind of had a good start to his career and then fizzled out in Tennessee. Went to Oakland, was obviously the backup there, Vegas, whatever they are now. So now, look, he's in Atlanta. The starting job is him. You mentioned Matt Ryan is gone. Is now this his time to like kind of revive his career and this his time to shine, or is he just sort of a holding like a bookmark at this point for Desmond Ritter?
Yeah, I think I would lean towards him being more of a bookmark at this point. I mean, I haven't seen very much in his career thus far that's indicated to me that he'll have this kind of like breakout in whatever season this is for him. I mean, like I've seen obviously a lot more flashes of great things from Jameis Winston, who obviously we saw flashes of terrible things too, that great 33-30 season or whatever.
Only a fantasy championship against.
I mean, it's at least exciting to watch him. I can't really say exactly the same about Marcus Mariota. I mean, I think like I enjoyed watching Ritter in college. I don't think necessarily that this is the year, but that said, I mean, I'm glad that they have like accepted that they are in this rebuild, and I definitely see them giving him a shot this season at some point, because it's like, what do they have to lose? They're not going to win this division, and why not see kind of like what they have in him? But it's a good situation, I think, that he's joining, because it's not that high stress. They're not going to like force him out there to win games, because they're probably not going to win that many games.
Yeah, I think there should be an overall combined over-under for Atlanta, Carolina, and the Saints at like 8.5. Yeah, I think Mariota is in an okay spot where he should be able to get some decent playing time for the first time in his career, instead of just being either a career backup or a gadget guy. But I agree. I think this is definitely a holding pattern for Ritter. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him take over, at least 6 games in, especially if they're just already 0-6. You got to see what you got and go from there. So,
yeah, I mean, really just comes down to the fact that like this team's not going to win very many games. And so like they got to go see what they have with Ritter at some point. The team's going to be bad. That's all there is to it. So,
yeah. All right. So moving on to the Panthers here, and assuming that newly acquired Baker Mayfield actually has the inside track here to begin or to being Carolina's starting QB this year, what do you think his ceiling is with a new offense and some new different weapons?
Yeah, I mean, I think his ceiling is that high-end QB2. Like, I mean, he on bye weeks or like in a pinch or deeper leagues or something. Like, I'm in a 16-team league where obviously every quarterback's off the board and stuff like that, and like, he'll definitely be taken. And he's the guy that I could certainly see putting up QB1 numbers in certain weeks here and there. Like, I don't think he'll finish as a QB1 for the season or really anything that close, but I could see him being used in a pinch like that. But like, QB2 feels like where I'm kind of thinking of him. Like, we kind of do forget that, he started out his career in this absolutely rancid Browns team with like terrible coaching, just like a lot of things. And then, like, obviously last season he was so banged up. So we really haven't seen him reach his potential. Now, here's some things that worry me is that Carolina's offensive line ranked 31st out of 32 according to PFF last year, and I think he's the type of guy that just needs more of a clean pocket than some other guys. And because we've seen his footwork be kind of a little bit scary. I think it's just like the college system that he went from. He can't get away with those things in the NFL. So we'll see like kind of what it looks like in a total, like getting to push that reset button. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm tempering my expectations because but also like at the same time that TikTok sound that's like, I'm ready to get hurt again. I kind of am ready to get hurt again.
Yeah, I think that he should definitely be the starter. Darnold came out of the gates kind of hot last year, but obviously slowed with the injuries. Yeah, I mean, it was
leading the league in rushing.
Okay. Well, CMC's not going to run because he's injured. I guess I'll try running and then I'll get injured. So, I mean, I can't imagine a world where Darnold ends up winning this gig. At least not to start the season. He may come in later and somehow surprise people. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what Baker can do. Maybe he should be on Dancing with the Stars next year, work on the footwork, figure it out.
Be doing that like Antonio Brown thing.
Yeah.
The windshield wipers.
Yeah. Do that. Get yourself like a couple hula hoops on the ground, bounce between them.
Maybe the Masked Singer.
Yeah.
You guys did see the Antonio Brown video, right? Like, I'm not just okay.
Absolutely.
Someone at my work did not, and I was like, "You guys have to watch this." It's
when he jumped on stage. Yeah, I was like, I'm not really sure what's going on here. Is he all there? No, probably not.
No, he hasn't been all there in 4
one of the
years.
gifts that keeps on giving.
Exactly.
Was that not the best Hard Knocks, by the way? One of the best. Oh my god.
I actually have not watched Hard Knocks, but
I
don't know why I don't have HBO. I don't have HBO, so I can't do.
At this point, you can probably just go onto YouTube and find it.
Probably could. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't. Anyway. You guys have pretty much covered everything with Carolina and this quarterback situation. It's not gonna be great. So moving over here to New Orleans, and you mentioned Winston already. Look, he was actually playing very, very well last year for the Saints team. We talk, everybody wants to joke about the turnovers. He actually was really limiting his turnovers last year. The touchdowns weren't like sky high, but I'll take a touchdown less a game if you're not going to throw a pick. But 17.2 fantasy points per game in his games played. He was just outside the QB1 range. So very, very solid. With now, he's got Olave. We've got Landry. Michael Thomas is back. We think he'll have Kamara. We're not sure yet. We'll get there. But either way, like, he's got some weapons. Do we buy him potentially being a low-end, QB1 or very high-end QB2? I mean, if so, his draft value is super good.
I definitely feel like he could end up as a high-end QB2. I mean, you got to remember too, like, they just had him on a super short leash last season. They went super run heavy and had football pads underneath that jacket on stage. It wouldn't surprise me. I thought he was going to go on with that illegal helmet or something like that, or barefoot because he cryoed his feet off, but whatever. But yeah, Winston, definitely a guy that with those weapons all healthy, I think that's going to be really interesting to see. Obviously, that's not something that he had we haven't seen Michael Thomas since 2019 when he had 1,700 receiving yards. So if we can see a shell of that, obviously, plus like Kamara, obviously he's going to help with some of those short yardage passes. And then Olave, I think, is one of the most polished route runners to come out
Yeah.
of this draft class. So there's a lot of weapons there. So hopefully a lot of them are healthy, and I think that they'll probably still exercise somewhat of a conservative approach with him, but it seemed to kind of work out. And even with that conservative approach, like you said, he was still a borderline QB1 in points per game. So I think his floor is actually a lot higher than people give him credit for.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like Winston. You do get a little scared off. I passed on him and Scott Fish as my QB2. Well, or he would have been my QB3. I passed on him because we didn't know about Michael Thomas. Now he's back. There's still the Kamara scare. Still kind of sitting in the back of your mind. And you just never know. I just feel like, especially with that scoring, right? There's the interceptions really can just kill you, and the incompletions, stuff like that can really kill you in that type of a league. The scoring there just doesn't favor him as much as it does in a normal, fantasy league. So I kind of hesitated and didn't pull the trigger. So I don't really have a QB3 in that league. But in a normal league, I actually think he should be drafted better than QB21. Because I do think the potential is there. If you're waiting that long for a QB, why not take a chance on a Winston? You might stream out anyway at that point. Or if you're, wanting to take a second quarterback just to have a backup, I know a lot of people do that now. He's not a terrible dart throw as a, somebody, especially if you go after a late QB1. I think Winston is a dart throw at the end there where he could really pan out.
Yeah. Who were your quarterbacks you ended up with in Scott Fish?
I got Stafford and Lawrence pretty early. And then I think one of the last rounds, just nobody wanted to take Jacoby Brissett. And I was just kind of fine. I'll take him in around 21 or whatever it was. I just figured why not, a little bit of insurance in case something happens to Lawrence or Stafford. And who knows, I might not even use him because he's terrible, but it's just if Watson doesn't play at all, that's round 21 is your third QB. I'll take it.
Perpetually disrespected Jacoby Brisket. No one ever gives him the credit that he deserves. He's one of the greatest backups, obviously. So, and he might obviously he could play 8 games this year, start 8 games this season, or maybe even more. We don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I also grabbed him late. I think I got him in the 20th, maybe. I was afraid there was a couple other people who still hadn't had their third. So, but yeah, with Winston, I agree 100% on everything you guys said. I think it's, he's kind of the guy that you look at if you get, like you were saying, Joe, if you wait on your QB1, you kind of don't want to wait too much longer for a QB2 and have some sort of insurance. And I think he's one of the best ones out there for that. So obviously the last man standing probably will be the last man standing on Earth once the apocalypse hits. With all the cockroaches.
Yeah,
Tom Brady.
The cockroaches and Tom Brady. Not calling Tom Brady a cockroach, but
no, not at all. He's the GOAT, but
it's that avocado ice cream that obviously would help him survive nuclear warfare.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Superfood. I just really feel like he will finish as the overall QB1 this year. So change my mind. Can you?
That's bold. QB1 in the division, sure, but without Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, all those guys, Joe Burrow perishing in nuclear warfare. I don't know that I see him finishing as the QB1. But I certainly could see a situation where he finishes top 5, which would be amazing for his age and situation and all that. So I think that at his ADP, he's still really good value, especially with the new additions and the fact that Chris Godwin looks like he's trending. I know I'm skipping ahead, but but with all those things working for him, and in that weak division, that's not going to put up that much of a fight.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, I've got him QB8, but it's really behind all the rushing quarterbacks and Burrow. So it's okay. It's just It's hard to put him in front of the guys who can run with their legs and they're going to get the bonus points. I call them bonus points, but the extra points with their legs and all the rushing touchdowns. Brady's not. I mean, Brady's going to get some rushing touchdowns because he's the master at the QB sneak at the half yard line, and I don't know how his teams always get to the half yard line just for him.
Pass interference.
I mean, right? Like, come on. It's like they're like, hey, Brady, we want you to score. I'm going to just stop here and. It's just weird. Like, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, the guy was top 4, top 5 last season. So I mean, like,
he
could easily do it again. And especially now, like, I could reevaluate and move him up a little bit higher, but I'm not sure I will, just because Murray and Hurts and Jackson and Herbert, Mahomes and Allen all run, right? You're expecting 35 to 40 touchdowns from Brady if you're expecting him to break go ahead of those guys at this point.
He's done it before.
Again, very possible. Just that is a hard thing to predict. That many touchdowns. But I mean, now that he's got Godwin and everybody back, I completely agree. I think that could be the way to go. But let's jump over here to our running backs. And we're using our half PPR ADP here. We got Christian McCaffrey at RB2, Alvin Kamara at 10, Leonard Fournette at 14, Cordarrelle Patterson at 31, Rashad White at 45, Tyler. Nope. Anybody know how to say that?
Algier.
It's Algier.
Algier.
Yeah.
48. I did not practice before the show. Trevor Hubbard. 56, Mark Ingram at 57, and Donta Foreman at 62. So AJ started off here. Did we do Atlanta 3 times here? Am I an idiot?
We did actually. I had messed these around. So, I mean, if you want, I'll start with New Orleans.
Because that is not who I had up there. I feel like.
Yeah, it was Carolina. So yeah, Atlanta. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go about this backfield. Obviously, Patterson was waiver wire gold last year, won people championships. I was not one of them. But they did go out and draft Algier. They have Damian Williams. They still got Allison. I mean, I've heard good things about all these running backs, but it's still early in camp, and they're running with the 1s and 2s. So, are you even doing anything with any of these players, or are you just fading all of them?
Look, I mean, these beat writers probably would talk higher about these players than their own mothers at this point in the season. I obviously got to take all of that with a grain of salt. I mean, I think Algier at RB48, I mean, he definitely has some appeal, but you got to think about what kind of game scripts do you think that Atlanta's going to be in? Or do you think that these are going to be run heavy game scripts? We just talked about the fact that we don't think they're going to win a lot of games. We saw Patterson have that year 9 breakout. I mean, did you have that on your 2021 bingo card, by the way? Because I
definitely not.
If you did, props to you. But yeah, seriously, I did not expect that, especially just based on the coaching staff. None of that made me think that they were going to find the way to unlock Cordarrelle Patterson, which, by the way, I used to live with a Vikings fan, and we used to have our Chromecast named Cordarrelle because, and I think there was another one. Oh my God, it named Sharkhandrick West. I'm not kidding. So that's my life. But yeah, I mean, Algier, I think could be interesting just because he's super low cost there. But no, this backfield is not super interesting to me. Like I said, just a lot of concerns about how many game scripts we think that are going to favor the run that much.
Yeah, or they just write the game script to really slow down the pace of play by having to run all of these guys because they can't throw it. So,
I mean, fair enough. Yeah.
And lose 20-3. That would be a win for them, I feel like. Joe?
Not getting blown out by more than 20 points. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing to really say here, as far as games, they weren't in a ton of games last year, and Patterson was still thriving.
Yeah, but he was being used as the passer. So yeah, I mean, sorry, the pass catcher. So yeah, I mean, certainly I could see him in that role more in those like short yardage type situations. But as far as the rushers, it's just not a ton of appeal to me.
No, I mean, I'm in total agreement though. Like I'm off this backfield completely.
Joe loves
Was kinda
everybody
playing
here.
How is this kind of, you know?
Still has a Mike Davis jersey.
Oh my God, I have like PTSD about Mike Davis. So I actually fell into
harsh,
that
AJ.
honey pot, to be honest. If we're just being honest about our bad takes, I fell into that. So.
Yeah, I did too. But I fell into it late season. I was like, he's got to do something. Something's gonna happen here. I feel
well,
like.
just because because I was a Panthers fan and I was just like, oh, like
Yeah.
I saw him be so productive. It's just like how do you go from that to being just like the fourth best Atlanta Falcons running back?
Yeah, how
That
do you
made
go
no
from
sense.
that to being the backup to the backup to the backup of 9-year breakout Cordarrelle Patterson?
Yeah, that was
What
was bizarre.
World is that?
Very, very bizarre.
I have secondhand embarrassment for him. So.
I think a lot of us got burned by Mike Davis. A lot. So,
Yeah.
All right, let's jump over here to the Panthers, and obviously it's Christian McCaffrey that everybody wants to know about. Like, the guy has been injury plagued for 2 seasons in a row now, but when he's on the field, he produces. You know, it's just like, I mean, you're still having to pay a very, very hefty draft price for him. I mean, talking probably the number 2 pick in most drafts. You know, I've seen maybe it worse. He goes like number 4. Some people are taking like Cook or Henry or Cook or Eckler ahead of him. How comfortable are you taking him at RB2 or even like RB4 with this recent, you know, history of his?
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I took CMC with the number 1 overall pick last year in Scott Fish. So you can imagine how well my Scott Fish team did last year. The previous year, by the way, I made it to like the semifinals or whatever.
Oh, nice.
So I was very embarrassed with this team. And it had like that 3rd round reversal. So my team was just so bad because I obviously didn't get
3rd round
the
reversal
pick.
crushes the front end.
Oh, I know. So I had the 3rd pick this year, and I mean, my team's okay, but not great. But yeah,
it's probably better to go out of the draft thinking it's just okay, because then it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
yeah. Like,
last year.
Yeah.
I made some mistakes. I had a pretty sharp draft too. Like there weren't a lot of like guys that just plummeted, and I was able to get crazy good value. I think like the best that I got was like Dallas Goedert really late, so that was like the best thing that I felt about the whole draft. But anyway, going back to CMC, I mean, I don't feel great about it, but it's like a swing for the fences type thing, right? I mean, like, you know, it's high risk and super high reward. None of these injuries do I think are like super lingering. Like it's not like this thing is Cam Akers having a ruptured Achilles or something like that. I know it's really hard to compare like injuries apples to apples, but a lot of these just seem kind of like random. And you've got to think that like, you know, once he started to have these injuries pile on, it was just like, why rush him back? He was like a $60 million asset to them. So, I mean, but yeah, to that same point, if the wheels start falling off this season really early, they might pull the plug on him kind of early too.
Yeah.
So that's always a risk with these types of guys that have injury histories combined with the fact that they're not on good teams. But you've got to love the upside that obviously he offers you as being basically a receiver and a running back at the same time when he is healthy. He just gives you so much production through the air and on the ground. So it's high risk, high reward. Like I said, I think he's probably going to end up as like my RB3. Like I might take Eckler before him in like, you know, half PPR formats.
Yeah, I mean, even with, and of course this includes the games that he got hurt, but I mean, he averaged 15.5 points a game, half PPR points. But really, if you look at it, I mean, if you get rid of the games where he actually got injured, I mean, it's 23, 22, 21, and 21. Like, he's over 20 every game when he's on the field for the full game. So it's hard to pass up on that because it's just money in the bank when he's on the field. But
exactly,
it's it's almost why I don't want a top. If I don't have the number 1 pick and I can get Jonathan Taylor, I don't want a top 6 pick this year because I just don't know who to pick. Cook gets injured, Eckler gets injured, Henry is coming off an injury, obviously CMC, they're all banged up. Like, honestly, if I have a top 5 pick and, you know, a couple of those running backs go, I might just take Jefferson or Kupp or something like that and just be like, I don't want to worry about it. I'll take my running backs later.
Yeah,
Because,
I almost would rather have a late pick in most formats, just to because like there's decent depth in running back, like and there's like a lot of risk at the top of the draft. So it's like I'd rather get like a really good receiver and then like a running back that's in that like 1B tier.
yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, CMC is pretty much dead to me. That's
the thing that's tough. It's like you can't even like let it go.
What's
right?
that?
Like I can't let that go. Like
yeah,
I drafted him in multiple leagues at the number 1 overall pick. So
yeah,
I had him, and he was my first round keeper, like 2 years straight. First injury, I was like, okay, well that sucks. I'll just hang on to him in my IR. I'll keep him for next year. Same thing, and was just like, I'm done. I traded him. I had him, Michael Thomas, and Kamara somehow. I don't even know how the hell that happened, but it was
that's just unlucky. But I hopefully like all that
nice ride.
Unluck like happens on one team. Like sometimes that's what happens to me is that just one team turns into an absolute train wreck, and it's okay because I'd rather just sacrifice that one team.
Exactly. So, but speaking of Kamara here, obviously we know that there's risk of him being suspended. I mean, do we think that he's worth his ADP? I mean, if he does miss time, what running back are we rostering from here? Or are we just saying, nah, move it on?
I had to look up who was on the Saints running back depth chart, to be honest. Like I knew it was like Mark Ingram, and I was like, and I'm not sure who else at this point. And
why I stopped after Foreman when I was labeling these out.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not pretty.
It's not pretty. I don't feel good about anyone. I would just be like pass. Like, and that's such a weird situation, right? Because you're like normally not normally, but like running back often gets that whole like stigma of being like kind of plug and play, like that at least like when there is a warm body in the position, they can at least give you some kind of floor. And I don't feel comfortable about anyone on that depth chart, so I'm probably gonna say just pass there. And then at his ADP, which I see is RB10, I think that's kind of risky. Like that might be a little rich for me. I might feel a little bit better just given like the uncertainty at like, you know, the 15 type range.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you there. I've got him at RB17 right now. I'm not, at this time, late July, we don't know. And the season's a little too far away for us to think, okay, it's just going to, spill into like next year like it did with Watson. We don't know yet. The NFL has been random about all of these things. We just literally don't know. I'm not comfortable taking him. Now, if we get into, late August and nothing has happened yet, yeah, I'm bumping him right into the top 10 because he'll play. I just don't think they're going to do anything during the season. The NFL doesn't usually do that. But somebody's got this tape out there somewhere. Like people, like there's rumors floating around that like people have seen it and it's awful and whatever. So like somebody's got this videotape out there somewhere and it's going to just pop, right? It's going to come out kind of like the Ray Rice thing. Yeah. And it's going to be bad. And the NFL is just going to swoop in and take him out. And that's kind of what I think is going to happen. I'm even at 17, I'd probably pass and take somebody who, I'm just a little risk adverse when it comes to that kind of stuff. I don't want to take a zero even that late into the running back. So, AJ,
like I'd probably rather have Zeke in that range, and that's Ezekiel Elliott. Like I might even rather have him at that.
Yeah, I mean he's a few spots
range.
lower in my rankings, but yeah, I mean he's he's in that conversation where like if you're looking at backs around that range, it's like the David Montgomerys and the Josh Jacobs and the Zekes and stuff like that, and it's just kind of like at least I know they're gonna play unless they get hurt. But like, yeah, it's
Well,
hard to
yeah.
predict injuries, you know.
It goes back to volume for me at that point. You know, you have this risk knowing you're having to use such a high draft pick on an unknown that might only play, you know, half a season, or not play at all, depending on what happens. So I think I would pass on him. He was slipping pretty low in my fish league, and I was kind of starting to eye him up, but he went, and I was like, okay. Moving on.
And that's the thing. There's like some of those guys that you're just like, I'm just okay not ending up with them in most situations. Like for it, like at it, there's always a price, right? Like if he's slipping to like RB24, like of course you're like going for it, but like
time.
Now it's time. But like
Fine.
but then there's just like plenty of guys that you're just like, like that's okay that someone else took them. Let them be someone else's problem at this point.
Kind of like me in Amari Cooper and Warrior Bowl. I absolutely despise him as a player, but he fell to wide receiver like 32, and I was like, even I know that that's a good value. Like that's just stupid. Like come on. I've never had him, and I never wanted him, but that's just crazy that he fell that far. Anyway, let's move over here to Tampa, and Fournette was amazing last season. Only 180 rushing attempts, but was heavily involved in the passing game. 69 receptions. I believe it was like 83 targets or something like that. But they added Julio Jones. They drafted a rookie, Rashad White. Godwin's going to be back. Like, couldn't we expect this same production from him, or should we be tapering off a little bit?
I'm pretty high on him right now. Like I think he's in that RB12 type range. Like that's where I would feel pretty comfortable taking him. Yeah. And I mean, I think like to your point about like, them adding lots of pieces, like there's still going to be plenty of targets for him to go around with Gronk and Gage gone out of the situation. Sorry, with Gronk gone and AB gone, rather. By the way, I had to relive that moment recently because I just Googled it and I was like, Antonio Brown rage quit. So that was going back
on so many leagues, and I lost.
Going back to our like gift that just keeps on giving of Antonio Brown.
You guys
literally lost the week because of Antonio Brown. I lost that. I lost one league. I desperately needed to win by like 3 points, and you're like, Antonio Brown, if you just played like a quarter, you would have gotten me 3 points. Are you serious? Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and I had so many people, like, I told so many people that week, like, play Antonio Brown, and they all like tweeted me and like messaged me.
He's
and, like,
my number one.
Okay, so like,
come on.
And never mind.
No way you can predict that.
That's even worse than like people getting mad at you for saying like, "Hey, play Christian McCaffrey," and he gets injured during a game. Like, how are you supposed to predict that some guy is just gonna
it's funny because nobody actually got mad at me. They were just like upset. They were just like, dude, Antonio Brown totally effed me. And I'm like, yeah, all of us. I agree. Yeah. Like they weren't mad at me. They were just like mad in general.
It's like, what do you even say to that? Right?
No, that's
like
just nothing.
Everything that happens with that dude is like
I concur.
Which like seriously, like I just think about the fact that there was a Steelers team for a while where like Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and like Ben Roethlisberger, who has his own problems, we're all on this team. Like Mike Tomlin deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for like keeping all of that relatively quiet, because then like all like that kind of starts to disperse and it's like, oh my god, like these people are crazy. So
people want to call Tomlin a bad coach, and I'm like,
no,
he is the best coach ever for somehow keeping that all from like not just spilling out like
from being like a legit grenade in
just like this is crazy how that didn't just blow up in their face.
I feel like there's teams in the league that have had more coaches and interim coaches in 1 year than Pittsburgh has had in their whole damn history.
Yeah.
Three coaches. Coaches.
And
Tomlin's
crazy.
Just like, yeah, okay,
that's
but apparently he's soft or whatever that report was that came out this week. I can't even properly quote it because it was just a joke. I just remember seeing it somewhere on one of my tickers, and I was like, "What?" Okay, moving.
But
on.
yeah, I mean, yeah, sorry. So just the point that I was going to make is that there's been significant attrition on that team of like, all the crap that we give Antonio Brown. He obviously was a great NFL player, and he still was great last season before he rage quit. So, Rashad White, I feel like he kind of projects more as that like third down specialist anyway. So I don't see him like eating into a ton of Fournette's carries per se. And I just think that being on a winning team like Tampa, like that just sets him up for a lot of workload too. So I'm pretty high on him going into the season.
Yeah, well, that's why I brought up Rashad White though. Is you brought up he's projects to be that third down back, the pass catching back. So like we know Fournette saw a lot of receptions last year. Like, could that eat into where a lot of his value? Because if he only gets 180, carries again this season, but if he only catches, let's say, let's drop to 45 catches, like that's a massive drop. So like that's kind of why I brought it up. But I still like him because of the team and it's gonna be very favorable conditions, game scripts for him, unlike Atlanta. So
yeah,
I do like
yeah.
him,
I mean,
it's just,
White's gonna have to learn how to pass block too before he gets
that's true.
lots of playing time, in my opinion. Yeah. And the point that I was trying to make before is that I think there's just gonna be more targets to go around anyway this year. So yeah, if Rashad White gets some, Lenny's still gonna get his as well, and he could take a hit, right? I mean, he was RB8, I believe, in half PPR and still pay off at his ADP at this point. So I mean, I don't necessarily think he's going to, but even if you think his workload is going to take a little bit of a hit, I think he'll still pay off.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's jump on into the wide receivers here. And we got Mike Evans down on the farm at wide receiver 10. We got DJ Moore at wide receiver 18. Chris Godwin at 23. My computer's yelling at me. We've got Michael Thomas at 28. Got Drake London, finally, somebody from Atlanta, 31. Okay, great. Chris Olave, when you call me Big Papa, 43. Russell Gage at 50. Jarvis Landry at 59. Robbie Anderson at 73. Julio Jones at 76. Terrence Marshall at 87. And I had to go all the way down to 96 to get Bryan Edwards, a second receiver from Atlanta.
Not good. So we got to start with Tampa. This is the big storyline of this division, really, when you think about it. And Godwin is now not on the pup, so he's clear to play. Julio signs. Obviously, Mike Evans is still there. They had signed Gage. Now it sounds like it might just be more insurance for Godwin. Who knows? But how do you see this? So we see the ADPs, right? And Evans 10, Godwin 23, Gage was at 50, Julio Jones is at 76. Do you think those will kind of stay where they are, or do you see those completely shifting now, based off of new projections with all of these guys now around?
Yeah, I mean, I think Evans would probably pretty much stay the same. I could see Godwin going up a little, but I anticipate even though he's clear from the pup, you got to understand that I think the median return time for a wide receiver from a torn ACL is 10 months. Now, even if he plays week 1, I don't know that I'm expecting him to be 100% week 1. I think, and also they had the depth. These guys kind of give the Bucs a little bit of an option, especially since they just signed him to an extension. So it's kind of there's a possibility that even if he's healthy, he's out there practicing. They don't want to push him to that 100%. So I'm expecting Evans to be the wide receiver 1 entering the season, and then Godwin hopefully makes it on the field soon, if not week 1. Julio, I don't know what to make of him. Like, I've seen takes all over the place. Like, obviously the internet explodes like when something like this happens. And I saw someone say that he was like a top 24 receiver, and I was like, oh my god, pump the brakes. He's like 32, 31.
6 years ago, sure.
Yeah, I was like, it's not 2015 anymore. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously like he is not the same receiver that he used to be, but he's still, and that's the thing too, is that like he profiles so similar to Mike Evans. So I gotta wonder, like, there are going to be targets vacated, like I said, with Gronk gone and everything like that, like those red zone type situations, but I don't see him being like a huge fantasy asset. Gage was a guy that I was like really pumping up, going into drafts, just saying, I mean, I think he was just a popular sleeper. I mean, he's the guy that I've had on so many fantasy teams, by the way, just like, because I just feel like no one ever like really, he's like Tim Patrick. Like, he's not a sexy name, but he like produces, especially in deeper leagues. Like, he's just like that guy that happens to end up being like a wide receiver 3, and those are pretty valuable in, deeper leagues.
When he gets an opportunity, he usually produces pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just now we're not sure where the opportunity is for him on this team.
Right.
That's the unfortunate part.
He's the one that I think ends up taking the pretty big hit here in terms of like ADP. Yes. But I mean, I still think he could have some value, but it takes a pretty big hit knowing that Godwin is healthier and more on track than I thought he was going to be.
So I've got Evans and Godwin pretty close to their ADPs in my rankings. I've actually pretty much completely flipped Gage and Julio Jones. So I've got Jones around the 50 range, and I've got Gage in the low 70s in my rankings. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Jones is better. But also, I mean, the guy has been dealing with hamstring issues for years. Like, how, I get the opportunity is there for him, but we're talking injury-prone guys, in the running back section. We got Julio Jones, prime example here. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's got obviously the best quarterback he's had in his entire career, so that's going to be great. But he's also now the wide receiver 3 at best on this team, not the wide receiver 1. So how's that going to play out when he still misses 6-7 games because he can't stay on the field? So, but he's playing
devil's advocate. He will stay on the field because he's the third receiver behind the other guys, and unless one of them gets injured, which we've seen.
And look, so Brown thrive in the wide receiver 3 role last year.
We did.
Team. So like,
that's what I mean.
You could see that, but like him, AB and Brady had a weird dynamic that it was just kind of like, why? I don't get it, but it just worked.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's funny, or they got Gage and then they're like, wait, he wasn't the better Atlanta receiver. Let's go out and get Julio too. And then now we have an insurance policy for Julio in Gage.
Yeah.
So, all right, DJ Moore going to Carolina here. Obviously, we've seen him do some pretty great things with less than stellar quarterback play. And that's pretty much what he's up against again this year. Obviously, assuming Baker wins the job, what do you think the outlook is for DJ Moore?
I have been a DJ Moore apologist for a while, so I'm just going to stay on brand. I mean, for a while it was like me and Joe Mixon, but now Joe Mixon's good, so I have nothing to apologize for. But yeah, at this point, it's kind of like DJ Moore. I'm happy to draft him in that sort of like wide receiver, like 13, 15 range. Like I think he's probably going a little bit later than that. And I got him actually, like, he was one of the good, I think, values that I got in my draft. I might have gotten him in like the early 6th round or something like that in Scott Fish.
Nice.
I felt really good about that. So, but yeah, I mean, he's just a guy that I don't know. He's like kind of like that, like Allen Robinson that's just like never had a good quarterback. Obviously, Allen Robinson has a good quarterback now, but like before that,
good quarterback, unfortunately.
But yeah, I mean, just kind of a similar situation where you're just like, oh my God, what if he just had someone like decent throwing to him? I mean, I think Baker's probably going to be his best quarterback, and we've seen him produce with a lot worse. So I feel pretty good about him in that high end wide receiver 2 sort of range.
Yeah, I mean, looking at his stats, I mean, he's still 25 years old. He's super young, super talented. He's a target monster in this offense with crappy quarterbacks. So they just realize, okay, I have one job. Throw it to that guy. He's pretty good. And he missed some games in his rookie year. Actually, no, I'm sorry, he did not. He played in 16 games, but he only started 10. Missed a couple games the following years, and then he played in all 17 last year. He's had almost 1,200 yards all 3 of those years. The thing that sucks the most for him is the touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's just not a red zone threat.
Well, the team
because
CMC.
the team doesn't get in.
The team just doesn't get to the red zone. So,
touchdown regression though. He's due, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
After
so
5 seasons, he's due.
He's had trip fours in the last 3 years. So sure, let's make it 12 this year. Just going out on a limb.
We've seen crazier things happen. I do like him again. Yeah, the Allen Robinson comp is perfect for him. But I mean, red zone. I mean, only 13 targets, and all 4 of his touchdowns actually came in the red zone. So they just need to get there more. Maybe
exactly.
And if CMC's
so
healthy,
he is a red zone target.
I don't know. I think the problem is that CMC, when he's healthy, is such a red zone target. That is one of the other issues, but I like him. And you're right. I looked up your team, Samantha. You got him in the 6th round. I looked up my league. He went in the with the first pick in the 4th round is wide receiver 12. So you got a massive value there. That is
nice.
Go you.
Yeah, and then I reached for Baker Mayfield just to make it a stack. So there you go. He was my 3rd quarterback that I went way early for, but I'm just I'm a big quarterback person in Scott Fish, so not apologetic at all about that. I went quarterback in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah,
and got Mahomes and Derek Carr. So I'm hoping for some big AFC West shootouts.
Oh, there will be.
Yeah, he went in the 6th round in a bunch of leagues. Actually, the latest pick for DJ Moore was 7-4.
Okay, so I feel pretty good about that value.
6th in a whole lot. His ADP. So the earliest pick was 4-9. Which actually that feels wrong.
Wait, I thought you just said it was 4-1.
I forgot the 3rd round reversal, so it would have been 4-12 in mine. So mine was super close. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on here to the New Orleans Saints. And so, if I had written this question 3 days ago, it would have been completely different. But I wrote it yesterday. But Michael Thomas, obviously coming off the pup list, changes everything for this receiving core. But there's 2 questions here. So one is, where do you feel comfortable drafting him after really, not playing for two seasons now?
Yeah, I don't know, late 20s at this point. I'm not super optimistic. I want to believe, obviously, he won me championships. He won a lot of people championships in his glory days, but it's I just haven't seen him play in so long, and he's getting to that later stage, and I don't know. I'm worried about him, even though he's not on the pup. That doesn't, unfortunately, that doesn't mean as much as I think it should. I think that a lot of things can happen between now and then, and I would honestly probably rather have Olave at wide receiver 48 or wherever he's going, just because I think that he's going to be phenomenal. He's going to be an absolute rock star in this league. So, I think Thomas is risky in that early wide receiver 20s type range. That's a little more risk than I want to take. I'd rather wait and just get Olave later on.
Yeah, I don't blame you. My thing with Thomas is that he was always kind of the alpha receiver on that team, and I'm not sure he quite is the overwhelming alpha receiver on that team
Yeah.
now. I mean, Landry is not, what he was, but he's still good. Olave's coming in, and he's not gonna have Drew Brees anymore, so that's a big issue too. So I mean, Winston, as much as we want to pump him up for fantasy and as a kind of a value play, nobody really thinks he's that great. He's just it's okay. But the second part of it is so we mentioned Landry and Olave. You mentioned you would like Olave, so I think there you go. Like, why do you like him more than Landry? I mean, Olave's a rookie, so you never know with rookies. But and I mean, Landry is going after him by a good bit. So
Jarvis Landry is what he is. Like he's just a low ceiling type guy that I think worked okay in like the certain systems that he had been in before, but he's like he was really great for PPR in certain years, but Olave gives you way higher of a ceiling to me. He's got the versatility to play a lot of different places on the field. He's a great route runner. He's just like he's super athletic, sub 4.40. Like he's just got a lot of the tools. I think like the only really big knock, and I don't know if it's a knock, is that he's a little bit on the undersized sort of end of the spectrum. So people kind of worry about him going up against press coverage and things like that. But I think at this point, like he has the opportunity to be that wide receiver one, like especially if Thomas is going to struggle a little bit. I know he's a rookie, but he's one of my favorite prospects in this whole class.
Yeah, I think Landry is. I agree. He is what he is. I mean, he's good. He's serviceable. He's had basically the same amount of seasons in twice as many years that DJ Moore's had at almost 1,200 yards. So a little over 1,100. Not a big touchdown guy aside from 2017 when he had 9. So that's you can't predict touchdowns. And again, that was even in Miami. So he's gone downhill since then. I like Landry, but I'm not going out of my way to reach for him at this point. So,
agreed.
All right. Going to Atlanta. I mean, no Julio, no Gage. Basically, Drake London Bridge is falling down, and a bunch of extras on a movie set cast. Do we think that London can produce at his ADP given this unknown quarterback situation?
I do think he can produce at his ADP. I think he's a super exciting guy. I think he was the type of prospect kind of similar like Jameis Williams that maybe like some people were a little bit more down on because of the injury. He fractured his ankle 8 games into his final season for the Trojans, but I think he profiles pretty similarly to like Mike Evans, which make fantasy managers pretty excited. He's going to be a huge red zone type target. He played he's a dual sport athlete, played basketball for USC as well. He's just got huge length, good hands. Like he's not super fast, but he's going to win with more of his size than his speed. He's still got 4.5 speed. I mean, he's not slow or anything like that. So I think he's athletic. He's got that build. I think that he'll be able to. He has the physique and like skill set to overcome suboptimal quarterback situations. There are just some guys that that's unfortunate, but you're a high first round pick, you're not always going to end up on a good team. That's right. just the reality. I mean, look at how happy Jameson Williams looked getting drafted by the Detroit Lions. I mean, but it's like you gotta think you gotta think that like also like the situation, the quarterback situation's not great, but the depth chart, it not a lot of guys that are in, year one are going to have as good of a situation. I mean, you can say like Treylon Burks maybe has a slightly better, situation of the first round type guys, depth chart wise, but, or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, I think he'll definitely have lots of opportunities. It was interesting seeing what it was like for like the Falcons to have 0 wide receivers last year. Like that was an interesting little experiment. So I'm glad that at least they have one, and I feel like he's gotta get the targets. Like obviously no Calvin Ridley, no Russell Gage, nothing. I like that. What was it? Wide receiver 100 was the next guy.
Yeah. 90,
Great.
96.
Pretty bad.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
like London at wide receiver, what is it, 44 or something in that range? Like
he's actually wide receiver
feels pretty fair.
31.
Okay,
So
I
He's
had
in the
checked.
He's in the wide receiver 3 range for ADP. I've got.
Oh, London's at 31. Sorry. Yeah, that's the next one was 100.
Oh, okay, because London is 44 on Fantasy Pros, but I know we're using different sites. But
Yeah, I
so
think we just kind of use we just look at
We
the
filter it by sleeper.
sleepers ADP.
fair enough.
Um,
All right. Well, even at like in the 30s, I still think he'll pay off. I think he has wide receiver 2 potential for sure.
Yeah, I've got him at wide receiver 29. It's the volume there that like even though it's not great volume as far as like quality volume is what I mean. It's gonna be volume. He's like the only guy there. I mean, come on. But yeah, I mean, the problem with him is he's going to be inconsistent. Not only is he a rookie, the quarterback play isn't great. At the end of the year, it might all come together. He might have some really big games, but I'm probably going to pass on him in drafts just because I think he's going to be inconsistent for multiple reasons. So that would be the reason why I pass. But let's, for the sake of time, just jump into our tight ends here and finish things off. So ADP for tight ends, half PPR sleeper ADP is Kyle Pitts at 3. Yeah. Then we're big gap.
That's it.
Taken or,
Yay, Atlanta, you did something right.
Cameron Brate, 25. Troutman at 33. Otten at 35. Rudolph at 38.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Randolph, jerk. Tremble at 44. And then, Taysom's not in there as a tight end for some reason. Who knows? He's impossible. So we'll just pass on that. But hey, we're gonna start with Atlanta again because AJ,
because they're so bad.
Alphabetical order. It's fine.
That's what I was doing actually the first time, and I was like, well, all right, we usually go back and forth, and whatever. So, Kyle Pitts. I mean, he's clearly the man at tight end that everybody wants in a dynasty league, but. I mean, are you really looking at him in your redraft leagues this year, given that cost?
I am. I actually think going. I don't know what you would call it, like hero tight end, but like going really early on tight end, getting an elite tight end this year is definitely worth it. I felt that way last year as well, and I won multiple championships with Travis Kelce, where people thought that I was reaching for him in like the mid to late first round. But I think Pitts is going to be worth it. You can probably get him in like the late third or something like that in redraft leagues. And that feels pretty appropriate to me. Like I would take him in the third round and be pretty happy with it. I mean, he's a guy that I was so obsessed with last year. I was like, he's going to buck the trend. Everyone wanted to talk about how like first year tight ends can't produce and everything like that. And I was like, this is the guy that this is the player that the hill that I'm going to die on. So I'm happy that at least one thing worked out, obviously. And on the running back side of Atlanta, I did not strike gold there. So at least there was some redemption there. But yeah, I'm
again. Jeez.
Nice twist. I know.
Twist a little more for both of us.
Just the knife's already in. Let me just turn it a little.
I'm just gonna wiggle it a little bit.
Dude, just know, like this is self ribbing here. It is in no way. It is in no way a personal attack.
No, I like Pitts a lot this season. I kind of wish he had a better quarterback. But again, like we just talked about with London, I mean, the targets are going to be there, and they were last year. I mean, like he did some pretty incredible things last year as a rookie for tight end. Just the touchdowns weren't there. So like, you got to imagine regression to the mean is going to come for him. Maybe some of the I don't even know. Like it might be hard to predict more receptions and more yards for him, but maybe more touchdowns, and that's gonna vault him up the tight end rankings as well.
Plus, obviously, we were down on Mariota earlier, and I'm not wavering from that necessarily, but obviously Delaney Walker was a guy that was productive with Mariota at the helm. I'm not saying that tight ends are quarterback proof, but they can be a little bit more immune, I think, to suboptimal quarterback play.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, I think that's why I've got Kyle Pitts at 3 as well. I think obviously Kelsey and Andrews are the clear 1 and 2, no matter what order you want to put them in. I'm not going to argue with you. I've got my pick, but Pitts is in my opinion, clear number 3, because after that, it's Kittle and Waller. And I mean, how many games are each of them going to play? That's the big issue with them. So Pitts is really, really good, really talented, and honestly, if he were to somehow finish as tight end 1, I don't think anybody would be super surprised. That's how high he can go. So
yeah,
moving over here to Tampa Bay. I guess it looks like there's gonna be no Gronk. He's telling everybody he's not gonna sign, even if Brady calls him. He's having fun, whatever. He's being Gronk. So, maybe when they're 10-2, he's gonna be like, all right, I'll come win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I could use another ring.
I could use another ring and another party.
Yeah, I'm bored. Like I don't have any more Pit Vipers to like promote or whatever.
I do have a pair of his Pit Vipers, actually.
I have his Pit Vipers as well. So no judgment.
I almost wore them tonight.
That would have been hilarious. Pit Viper actually sent me 6 pairs of Pit Vipers.
Nice.
I had tagged them in like a bunch of posts because I love Pit Vipers. Like I had bought my own pair, of course, and then they were just like, "You're awesome! Like, can we send you a care package?" And I was like, duh. And they sent me this.
No,
I kid you not.
I don't
like
want
this,
that.
this belt thing that you can put a whole 6-pack into. Like it's like a belt.
Dude, they sent that to you?
Yeah. And I was like,
this scour the site, and my friends just laugh at me.
I would get kicked out. Like I would get fired from my job at Vail Resorts if I wore that on the mountain. But it would be an absolutely great like ski accessory.
Just wear it under your jacket. It's fine.
I know. No, like nobody's gonna know. Who would know?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I actually saw Gronk at the draft. He hosted a party that I went to as a member of the media, which was very strange. But this was actually before he announced it officially, but he announced it officially, and I was thinking, you know what, dude looks actually pretty lean. Like he usually looks like quite the beefcake, and he was looking really lean, and I was like, I bet he's gonna retire. Like I thought his mind was elsewhere.
He looked lean before he decided to come back last season. He put the weight back on really
Fair
quick,
enough.
so he can do it again. I guarantee it. But that being said, so now they're dealing with Kyle Rudolph, who they just signed, Cameron Brate, rookie Kate Otten. I mean, anybody gonna be? I mean, I think some people liked Brate, a little while ago, and then they signed Rudolph. This was before Julio, and Godwin came back, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll snag Rudolph, just in case, because I took Brate, and then now both of those dudes come back, and you're like, do we care about any of these guys?
No, not really. Otten is like an interesting sort of prospect on one hand, but I mean, he just wasn't used necessarily in that like I guess like outside receiver type tight end guy that's going to produce a lot in fantasy. Like he wasn't like a Kyle Pitts in college. Like he was used as a lot as a blocker. He had 1 touchdown in all of 2021. Like that could be scheme usage in like college stuff, but still like not a type of guy that I'm necessarily like really excited about. Like, I don't know. He's not Jelani Woods for me. Okay.
I mean, we can probably cut this one short. Moving on. I'm not interested. I had them highly ranked. I had Rudolph and or Brate highly ranked at one point. Like, not highly, but like at least draftable. Nah, pass. I'm out.
Took Rudolph, and right after I took Brissett, or maybe right before, one or the other. I don't know. But they were like my last 3 picks. It's like, I need this crappy player, and this crappy player.
So
and
worryable.
they all
I
have
took Brait
upside.
as my tight end too, and then after like 3 days later, Rudolph signed, and I was like, I'm gonna take Rudolph as my tight end.
You're just doubling
3.
down.
And
Yeah,
now it's just like
exactly.
now they both suck. What do I do
I don't
now?
like anybody. It's back to the Brayton OJ Howard show.
Oh God.
Substituting
I
Rudolph.
kept thinking
I think I
that
took
O.J.
Rudolph. I
Howard
took
would
Rudolph
be-
as Scott Fish as my tight end 3.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was yes, crap.
Yeah,
wasn't,
it was your last-
It wasn't
it was your
worryable.
last pick,
it was
wasn't it?
Scott Fish. Yeah. It was my last 3 picks: Rudolph, Brissett, and Brandon McManus. And I just phoned in apparently the last 3 picks. I didn't care.
Oh man, I definitely
brutal.
I definitely phoned in a few of the last picks because I was just like, oh my God, this draft is still happening.
I got double clocked on the 2 picks before me on my last pick. I was like,
I thought you got double clock. I was
you
like, no.
kidding me?
Oh man,
one
I
of
don't even
them-
have a tight end 3, so that's where
One
I
of
I
am.
wasn't planning on it with Brait. I was like, I'm good there. I mean,
I've
but
got
then they
Dallas
signed
Goddard
Rudolph,
and
I was
Hunter Henry,
pissed.
so
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, you don't need one at that point.
Yeah, you're okay.
I think I
hopefully
got
they don't
like
have the same buy.
I mean, I've got Kelsey,
I
so
never
hopefully I
even
won't
noticed
ever
that.
need another tight end. I just don't
Yeah.
have to worry about it. Kelsey's good. We're gonna move on.
right.
But one is
Yeah.
something. But anyway, last
Tyson-
question, AJ.
Taysom Hill
Tyson.
is no longer listed. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that Tyson thing. Taysom Hill no longer listed as a quarterback. I mean, Troutman's got some upside, I feel like, but I mean, what are your thoughts with how involved Hill's actually going to be with Peyton gone?
I'm just going to assume this whole Taysom Hill project, Taysom Hill, whatever you're calling him now.
Oh, I know, yeah.
But,
We're
yeah,
changing
this-
his name, his position,
his
social
name,
security
position, yeah.
number. He has
He's
entered
hungry,
witness
thinking about, like,
relocation.
Tyson's chicken nuggets. Who knows?
Yeah.
No, I'm just going to assume the Taysom Hill project is over, and thankfully that whole nightmare is over for all of us fantasy
Yeah.
managers. I was just like very annoyed with all of that. I was like, I mean, Sean Payton, I just wanted to assume like, yes, you're kind of in that like almost like Bill Belichick tier where you're like, maybe he's playing 3D chess and he knows something that like we don't. And turns out he didn't. Like
Yeah.
I just never saw what he saw as a quarterback or anything like that. I mean, it was like, dude's like 30. Like, do we think he's going to have this breakout at 30 years old?
Yeah.
And it turns out it didn't happen. So, yeah, I mean, I would be more than satisfied with not seeing Taysom Hill anymore. And I think that I think that there are a lot of people in the Saints that probably feel the same. So, I mean, Troutman probably has some like super deep league appeal as, your second tight end or something. Like in my 16 team league, he'll probably end up drafted. Just as like a dart throw, but not a guy that I'm necessarily like being like, oh yeah, here's the big sleeper.
Hard pass for me. Hill is long gone.
sadly
Sean
took-
your best friend. Thanks for getting him paid, right?
Yeah.
Move on. Bye.
I mean, I don't feel bad for
Sadly
him. That's
took him
the
as
thing.
my
He's
QB
paid.
three.
Like,
He got paid. That's all that matters.
No, sorry. This is my tight end 3 in round 18 because the guys I was looking at went all right before that. I'm like, all right, fine. I don't know. It was a panic pick. 45 minutes into my time slot. I was like, I don't know. Just take Hill.
oh my
But
god,
then
did you have a group that was like pinging you if you took more than 5 minutes? Because I did. Yeah.
No, I mean, we were pretty good about like we would send something out like, hey, such and such is OTC, and then like wait. But those last 2 picks, and one of them was overnight too, so it was like 14 hours. And then the next guy just didn't pick either. Granted, he at least has somewhat of a reason because he's in Brazil. Somehow he ended up in the Delaware division because he wanted to be the 1-5, which kudos, dude. I mean, you found it. And he's got a pretty good team. He sniped me a
He's
bunch of
originally
times.
from Delaware. Who knows? Anyway.
So, yeah. I don't know. That's it. I guess let's just go
Let's
go
finish
into
off here.
the
So how we
division
like
standings.
to close things out here. So we're done with the position preview here with that. So how I like to close it out is just give our final standings predictions. And Samantha, you've got the floor first for that.
I'm gonna be lame and just go with the obvious: Bucks, Saints, Panthers. ... Falcons.
Yeah.
Like what's their win total? Is it like 4 games? Because
I don't even know.
it's gotta be
actually.
something like I'm gonna look
I
it
don't
up right
know
now
if it's
for
that
us.
high.
You've got mega access into that with the Action Network, so
Yeah.
I'm sure you've got some insight. But yeah, AJ, anything different? Because I 100% agree.
I'm gonna agree with that and say the Bucks will have more wins than all 3 of the other teams combined.
Look at that handicapping skills right there. Their win total is 5. So there you go.
Nice.
The under is juiced to -150, just for the record.
It is. Yeah, it is 5. Panthers are 6.5. Saints are 8.
I'm taking the over on the Panthers wins. I think they're a solid 500 team.
Yeah, I don't know if I can go with yours, AJ, where they're gonna.
No, I don't. Yeah, at that, never
that
mind.
Seems
That seems
rough. I mean, you're talking each team would have to win like 2 games or 3 games. That I think the Saints are.
I mean, Atlanta could be this year's Detroit Lions.
Well, that's fine, but the Saints are still gonna win like 8 or 9.
Yeah, no, I think the Saints will have half as many wins as Tampa. So.
The Panthers will just win as many games just to put themselves outside of getting any good prospects in this draft. So
Yeah.
that's my prediction.
Typically, what
They're
the Eagles used to like to do.
What Washington's been doing for the last 2 years and screwing themselves out of drafting a good quarterback. Instead, they go pick Carson Wentz up and pay way too much money for this loser. I'm sorry. Just done. Like,
I was actually really surprised
don't open
too, like
that
how early they
me
went for
at this
Dobson
point.
too. Like that was shocking, I thought, in the first round.
Yeah.
Who knows? All right, Samantha. We're gonna close it up here. I want to thank you for coming on. It's a great conversation. Enjoy having you here. But before we let you go, I want to let everybody know where they can find your work this year and what you got going on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Sorry I talk a lot, but I appreciate you having me on.
Cool.
Yeah, so all my written work is going to be on actionnetwork.com. I will be hosting the Fantasy Flex podcast a couple times a week. As always, we're on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well and stuff like that. And then just follow me on Twitter. That's kind of like where you can probably find everything you need to know about me, things you don't want to know about me. It's just like a constant stream of consciousness. It's like, I'm stuck at TSA and like, here's the old fashioned that I drank last night and here's this mountain that I climbed. So
it's
a very
random with all your cool travel.
Exactly.
Skiing trips.
Yeah, lots of outdoor stuff, but yeah, there will be a lot more fantasy during the season, obviously.
Good stuff. All right, Samantha, thanks for coming on again, and have a good night. We'll have
Thank
to
you
do
so
this again
much.
soon.
All right.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye. All right, AJ, that is it for this show. Next week is a little bit different plans. We're not going to have a show during the week. I am on vacation, so we will be doing it on Sunday.
Must
August
be
7th.
nice.
Yeah. I got a lot going on, man. I almost don't want to go on vacation. Like there's so many things that have gone wrong in the last 2.5 weeks. I'm just like, I feel like I can't relax. But anyway, August 7th, Bob Harris is going to be here to finish up our division previews with the NFC West. So looking forward to that one as well. And that's it. I think I'm done. You got anything else to add?
No. Finishing off this proper notch, double any, yeah, and
nice.
a New England IPA. So,
nice.
Cheers.
Enjoy. All right. Good night, everyone. See ya.